Hello, my friends, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Cat Tales, a Warrior Cats reread podcast. I'm your host, Coffee, and today we are going to be reading chapters 4 through 7 of Rising Storm, the fourth book in the first arc of Warrior Cats. Now, where we left off, Fireheart was kind of really missing Graystripe. Bluestar seems to be not recovering well from Tiger Claw's attack on ThunderClan, and Cloudpaw is being a general nuisance. So, nothing crazy has happened yet, we're just getting into this book. So, we're going to start off with Chapter 4, quote, Soft paws padded through Fireheart's dreams that night. A tortoiseshell she-cat emerged from the forest beside him, her amber eyes glowing. Fireheart gazed at Spotted Leaf and felt the familiar ache in his heart. The pain of the medicine cat's death so many moons ago was as raw as ever. He waited eagerly for her gentle greeting, but this time Spotted Leaf didn't press her nose to his cheek as she usually did. Instead, she turned from him and walked away. Surprised, Fireheart began to follow, breaking into a run to chase the dappled cat through the woods. He called out to her, but even though her pace hadn't seemed to quicken, she stayed ahead of him, deaf to his cries. Without warning, a dark gray shape loomed out from behind a tree. It was Bluestar, and the eyes of the ThunderClan leader were wide with fear. Fireheart swerved to avoid her, desperately trying to keep Spotted Leaf in sight, but then Cloudpaw leaped at him from the ferns that lined the other side of the path, knocking him over. Lying winded for a moment, Fireheart could feel Whitestorm's eyes burning through his fur as the White Warrior watched him from the branches of a tree. Fireheart scrambled to his paws and raced after Spotted Leaf once more. She was still several fox lengths ahead, padding steadily on without even turning to see who called her. Now the rest of ThunderClan had gathered along Fireheart's path. As he dodged and weaved through them, they called out to him. He couldn't make out their words, but their voices formed a deafening chorus of mews, questioning, criticizing, begging for help. The meows grew louder and louder until they drowned out his own cry, so that even if she were listening, Spotted Leaf could not have heard.
Fireheart.
One voice sounded above the others. It was Whitestorm.
Mousefur and Longtail are waiting to leave. Wake up, Fireheart.
Half dreaming, clouded with sleep, Fireheart pulled himself to his paws.
What?
He meowed groggily. Early morning light was streaming into the warrior's den. Whitestorm stood beside him in the empty nest where Graystripe used to sleep.
The patrol is waiting,
He repeated.
and Bluestar wants to see you before you go.
Fireheart shook his head to clear his mind. The dream had frightened him. Spotted Leaf had always been closer to him in dreams than she had been in life. Her behavior last night stung like the bite of an adder. Was the gentle medicine cat abandoning him? Give me a break. Is my ghost crush leaving me even though we were not even together? Please. So Fireheart tells Whitestorm that he'll join Mousefur and Longtail soon. He leaves his den, relaxing as the green forest starts to beckon him and he starts to forget about his dream. He passes Mousefur and Longtail at the camp entrance and gives them a nod, wondering if Bluestar perhaps has a special mission for him and if she could be feeling like her old self again. He arrives at her den and calls a greeting inside. She answers excitedly. He enters her den to see her pacing up and down her cave. Okay, so she was depressed, now she's manic. Got it. Quote,
Fireheart,
she began without looking at him.
I need to share dreams with StarClan. I must travel to the Moonstone.
The Moonstone was a glittering rock that lay deep underground beyond WindClan territory, where the sun set.
You want to go to Highstones?
Fireheart exclaimed, surprised.
Do you know of another Moonstone?
Retorted Bluestar impatiently. She was still pacing, her paws echoing in the den.
But it's such a long way. Are you sure you're up to it?
Fireheart stammered.
I must speak with StarClan.
Bluestar insisted. She stopped dead and narrowed her eyes at her deputy.
And I want you to come. Whitestorm can take charge while we're gone.
Having the leader and deputy both out of camp is a choice. Fireheart's unease was growing rapidly.
Who else is coming with us?
No one.
Answered Bluestar grimly. Fireheart shivered. He felt bewildered by the dark intensity in Bluestar's tone. It sounded as if she thought her life depended on making this journey.
But isn't it a bit dangerous to travel by ourselves?
He ventured. Bluestar turned an icy gaze on Fireheart. His mouth turned dry as the she-cat hissed at him.
You want to bring others? Why?
Fireheart tried to keep his voice steady.
What if we're attacked?
You will protect me.
Bluestar rasped in a low whisper.
Won't you?
With my life.
Fireheart promised solemnly. No matter what he thought about Bluestar's behavior, his loyalty to his leader was unshaken. His words seemed to reassure Bluestar, and she sat down in front of him.
Good.
Fireheart tipped his head to one side.
But what about the threat from WindClan and ShadowClan?
He meowed hesitantly.
You mentioned it yourself yesterday.
Bluestar nodded slowly. Fireheart went on.
We'd have to travel through WindClan territory to get to Highstones.
Bluestar leaped to her paws.
I must speak with StarClan.
She spat, the fur on her shoulders bristling.
Why are you trying to dissuade me? Either you come with me or I will go alone.
Fireheart looked back at her. He had no choice.
I'll come.
He agreed.
Good.
Bluestar nodded again, her voice softening a little.
We'll need traveling herbs to keep our strength up. I'll go and see Yellowfang about them.
She swept past Fireheart and pushed her way out of the cave.
Are we going now?
Fireheart called.
Yes.
Bluestar replied without stopping. Fireheart bounded out of the den after her.
But I meant to lead the Dawn Patrol.
He protested.
Send them off without you,
Ordered Bluestar.
Okay.
Fireheart stopped and watched the she-cat disappear into the ferns that led to Yellowfang's clearing. He felt very uneasy as he padded toward the camp entrance where Longtail and Mousefur were waiting. Longtail was flicking his tail impatiently, while Mousefur had settled onto her belly and watched Fireheart approach through half-closed eyes.
What's going on?
Longtail demanded.
Why is Bluestar going to see Yellowfang? Is she okay?
She's going to get traveling herbs. Bluestar needs to share it with StarClan, so we're going to the Moonstone.
Fireheart explained.
That's a long way,
Remarked Mousefur, slowly sitting up.
Is it wise? Bluestar's probably still weak from the REUPLOAD's attack.
Fireheart couldn't help noticing that she tactfully avoided mentioning Tiger Claw's part in the attack.
She told me that StarClan has summoned her.
He answered.
Who else is going?
Asked Longtail.
Just me, Bluestar.
I'll come too if you like.
Offered Mousefur. Fireheart shook his head regretfully. Longtail's mouth twisted into a sneer.
You think we can protect her alone, do you? You may be deputy, but you're no Tiger Claw.
He hissed. Justice for Short Kings, bro. Like, sorry Fireheart isn't Big Chungus. Sorry he isn't Shaquille O'Neal. Like, what are we doing?
And it's a good thing he's not.
Relief washed over Fireheart as he heard Whitestorm's voice behind him. The White Warrior must have heard the whole conversation because he went on.
Fireheart and Bluestar are less likely to be noticed if they travel together like this. Quite apart from the fact that they're allowed safe passage to Highstones anyway. They're more likely to appear like a raiding party to WindClan if there's more than 2 of them.
Mousefur nodded, but Longtail turned his head away. Fireheart blinked gratefully at Whitestorm.
Yellowfang.
Bluestar's agitated meow sounded from the medicine cat's den.
Go to her.
Meowed Whitestorm quietly.
I'll lead the patrol.
But Bluestar wants you to take charge of the clan while we're gone.
Fireheart told him.
In that case, I'll stay here and organize today's hunting parties. Mousefur can lead the patrol.
Yes.
Agreed Fireheart, trying not to show how flustered he felt. He turned to Mousefur.
Take Thornpaw with you.
He ordered. Mousefur dipped her head as Fireheart turned and ran across the clearing to the medicine cat's den.
I suppose you'll be wanting some traveling herbs too,
Remarked Yellowfang as Fireheart emerged from the tunnel. The old medicine cat was sitting calmly in the clearing while Bluestar paced restlessly around, lost in her own thoughts.
Yes, please.
Answered Fireheart. Cinderpelt limped out of the den in the split rock and made straight for Yellowfang without stopping to greet Fireheart.
Which one is chamomile?
She whispered into the medicine cat's ragged ear.
You must know that by now.
Yellowfang hissed crossly. Cinderpelt's ears twitched.
I thought I knew, and then I wasn't sure. I just thought I'd check.
Yellowfang snorted, heaved herself to her paws, and went over to the foot of the rock, where several small piles of herbs were lying in a row. Fireheart glanced at Bluestar. She had stopped pacing and was staring up at the sky, warily sniffing the air. Fireheart patted after Yellowfang.
Chamomile's not a traveling herb.
He meowed under his breath. Yellowfang narrowed her eyes.
Bluestar needs something to soothe her heart as well as to give her physical strength.
Slipping her a Xanax is wild. She glanced scathingly at Cinderpelt and added,
I was hoping to add it to the traveling herbs without telling the whole camp.
She pushed one of the piles with a heavy paw.
That's chamomile.
Yes, I remember now.
Cinderpelt mewed meekly.
You shouldn't have forgotten in the first place.
Scolded Yellowfang.
And Medicine Cat has no time for doubt. Put your energy into today and stop worrying about the past. You have a duty to your clan. Stop dithering and get on with it.
Fireheart couldn't help feeling sorry for the young cat. He tried to catch her eye, but Cinderpelt wouldn't look at him. Instead, she busied herself with preparing the traveling concoction, pawing small amounts from each pile of herbs and mixing them together while Yellowfang watched with a concerned frown. I wonder why Cinderpelt's tweaking so badly recently. I think she's just overthinking it. I think she's just thinking too hard. So Bluestar is very anxious to get the herbs and go. Fireheart reassures her that they'll get to Highstones by sunset. Cinderpelt drops them their herbs, and they gobble them down and leave the medicine den. A few cats are waking up and watching curiously as the two of them walk to the camp entrance. Quote,
Hey!
Fireheart heard a familiar voice behind him and his heart sank. It was Cloudpaw, scampering out of his den with his fur standing on end, ungroomed after a night's sleep.
Where are you going? Can I come?
Fireheart paused at the tunnel entrance.
Don't you have a pigeon to collect?
The pigeon can wait. I bet some owls flown off with it by now anyway.
Answered Cloudpaw.
Let me come with you, please.
Owls eat live prey?
Fireheart corrected him. He hit him with the actually. He caught sight of Running Wind padding sleepily out of the warrior's den and called across the clearing to the Brown Tom.
Running Wind, will you take Cloudpaw hunting this morning?
He caught a flash of resentment in the warrior's eyes as Running Wind nodded unenthusiastically. Dang, Cloudpaw is ThunderClan's least favorite cat right now. The whole clan is his babysitter. Fireheart remembered how willingly Running Wind had taken Thornpaw out to catch squirrels the day before. Clearly the warrior wasn't as fond of Cloudpaw, and frankly Fireheart didn't blame him. His apprentice wasn't trying hard enough to earn the respect of these clan cats.
That's not fair.
Whined Cloudpaw.
I went hunting yesterday. Can't I come with you?
No, today you will hunt with Running Wind.
Fireheart snapped. Before Cloudpaw could argue anymore, he turned and raced after Bluestar. That's the end of Chapter 4. Cloudpaw is just a nuisance. Getting into Chapter 5. As Bluestar and Fireheart go towards the RiverClan border, Fireheart notices Bluestar seems much more relaxed now that she's out of camp on the way to the Moonstone. They get to the river and closely follow the border, even crossing it occasionally. Fireheart is worried about any trouble, but also very anxious to possibly see Graystripe. He's worried about RiverClan because last book they nearly fought over Silverstream and Graystripe's kits and who would get to own them. Bluestar smells RiverClan warriors and drops down to the ground, Fireheart following suit. He's still hoping to see Graystripe, and seeing Bluestar look as anxious as he is, he believes she's looking for him too. Then he realizes she's actually probably hoping to see her kits, Mistyfoot and Stonefur, who she had to give up in order to be deputy. None of these cats are here, though, as Fireheart spots the familiar mottled pelt of leopard fur through the bushes. Leopard fur draws closer, stopping as if she's detected something. Bluestar beckons him to head deeper into ThunderClan territory before they get caught. He follows her to the safety of the woods, remaining undetected. Quote,
That leopard fur moves so loudly, I should think even ShadowClan heard her coming,
remarked Bluestar once they were away from the border. Fireheart's whiskers quivered with surprise. He had begun to wonder if Bluestar had forgotten how fiercely the clans defended their boundaries, especially in these difficult times.
She's a good warrior, but too easily distracted.
Bluestar went on calmly.
She was more interested in that rabbit upwind than looking for enemy warriors.
Fireheart couldn't help feeling cheered by his leader's confidence. Now that he thought about it, there had been the scent of rabbit on the breeze, but he'd been too worried about leopard fur to take any notice of it.
This reminds me of the days I used to take you for training,
Purred Bluestar as she padded through the sun-dappled woods. Fireheart ran to catch up with her.
Me too.
He replied.
You were a fast learner. I chose well when I invited you into my clan.
Bluestar murmured. She looked back over her shoulder at Fireheart, and he saw pride in her eyes. He blinked gratefully at her.
All the clans have much to thank you for.
Bluestar continued.
You drove Broken-Tail out of ShadowClan, brought WindClan home from exile, helped RiverClan when they were flooded, and saved ThunderClan from Tigerclaw.
Fireheart began to feel a little overwhelmed by her praise as she went on.
No other warrior has your sense of fairness or loyalty or courage.
Fireheart's fur prickled uneasily.
But all the ThunderClan cats respect the warrior code as I do.
He pointed out.
Every one of them would sacrifice themselves to protect you and the clan.
Bluestar stopped in her tracks and turned to look at Fireheart.
You are the only cat who dared oppose Tigerclaw,
She reminded him.
But I was the only one who knew that he killed Redtail.
Fireheart had still been an apprentice when he had found out that the ThunderClan warrior had been responsible for the death of Bluestar's loyal deputy, but he had been unable to prove Tigerclaw's murderous secret until the traitor had led the rogue cats against his own clan. A fiery resentment flashed in Bluestar's eyes.
Graystripe knew too. It was only you who saved me.
Fireheart looked away, lost for words. His ears twitched uncomfortably. It looked as if Bluestar didn't trust any of her warriors except him and maybe Whitestorm. Fireheart realized that Tigerclaw had done more damage than any of the clan could possibly imagine. The Dark Warrior had poisoned their leader's judgment and drained away all her confidence in her warriors.
Come on,
Snapped Bluestar. Fireheart watched the gray she-cat stalk away through the forest, her shoulders stiff and her tail fluffed up. He shivered. Although the sky was still bright overhead, he felt as if a black cloud had blotted out the sun and cast an ominous shadow over their journey. Tigerclaw gave her BPD or something. She needs to be able to trust her entire clan, especially as their leader. So as noon approaches, they pass through 4 trees. As they climb up the hill into WindClan territory, Bluestar needs to stop to catch her breath. Fireheart is worried that she's still weak from the rogues, but it could just as easily be the heat in her longer coat affecting her. After she catches her breath, Fireheart looks down onto WindClan territory, even more anxious because they are still very angry at ThunderClan for sheltering Broken-Tail. He warns Bluestar that they should be careful not to be spotted, and she questions why, because StarClan grants safe passage to Highstones. Fireheart decides not to argue about this, instead just leading the way since he knows WindClan territory better than she does. He has been on WindClan territory quite a few times. Fireheart stiffens as a breeze blows their scent in the direction of WindClan camp. He hopes the scent of the heather masks theirs. Bluestar sniffs the air and suddenly disappears into the heather, leaving Fireheart completely alone. Quote, an angry yowl sounded from behind them. Fireheart spun around and backed away, wincing as the gorse pricked his haunches. 3 WindClan cats faced him, their fur bristling and their ears flattened.
Intruders, why are you here?
Hissed a mottled dark brown tabby. Fireheart recognized Mudclaw, one of the senior warriors. A gray tabby warrior called Torinir was beside him, his back arched and his claws unsheathed. Fireheart had grown to know and respect these cats when he had escorted WindClan back from their exile in Two-Leg territory, but all traces of their former alliance had vanished now. He didn't recognize the smallest cat, an apprentice perhaps, but every bit as fierce-looking and wiry as his clanmates. The fur rose along Fireheart's spine and his heart began to pound, but he tried to stay calm.
We're just traveling through.
He began.
You are on our land,
Spat Mudclaw. His eyes shone angrily as he stared at Fireheart. Where was Bluestar? Fireheart thought desperately, half wanting her support, half hoping she hadn't heard Mudclaw's yowl and was heading safely through the gorse toward Two-Leg territory. A snarl at his side told him she had returned for him. He glanced quickly to see Bluestar standing at the edge of the gorse with her head held high and her eyes blazing with fury.
We are traveling to Highstones. StarClan grants us safe passage. You both have no right to stop us.
Mudclaw didn't flinch.
You gave up your rights to StarClan's protection when you took Broken Tail into your clan.
He retorted. Fireheart could understand the WindClan cat's anger. He had seen for himself the misery they had endured when they were driven out by Broken Tail's clan warriors. With a surge of pity, he remembered the tiny WindClan kid he'd helped to carry home. It had been the only one of its litter to survive. The former ShadowClan leader had nearly destroyed the clan with his cruelty. Fireheart stared into Mudclaw's fierce gaze.
Broken Tail is dead,
he told him. Mudclaw's eyes glittered.
You killed him?
He demanded. As Fireheart hesitated, Bluestar growled menacingly from his side.
Of course we didn't kill him. ThunderClan aren't murderers.
No.
Mudclaw spat back.
You just protect them.
The WindClan warrior arched his back aggressively. Disappointed, Fireheart felt his mind whirl as he tried to think of another way to convince WindClan.
You will let us pass,
Bluestar hissed. Fireheart froze as he saw his leader flexing her claws and raising her hackles, ready to attack. That's the end of Chapter 5. Uh-oh. Let's hope they don't get into another fight. Continuing on with Chapter 6, quote,
StarClan grants us safe passage.
Bluestar repeated stubbornly.
Go home,
snarled Mudclaw. Fireheart's paws tingled as he sized up their opponents. 3 strong cats against him and the unfit ThunderClan leader. They would not escape a fight without serious injury, and there was no way he could risk Bluestar's losing a life, not when he knew that she was on the last of her 9 lives, which were granted by StarClan to all clan leaders. Why are they explaining concepts we've known since book 1, 60 pages into the book? We know leaders get 9 lives, bro. Like, hello?
We should go home.
Fireheart hissed at Bluestar. The she-cat swung her head around and stared at him in disbelief.
We're too far from safety, and this isn't a battle we can fight,
he urged her.
But I must speak with StarClan,
meowed Bluestar.
Another time.
Fireheart insisted. Bluestar's eyes clouded with indecision, and he added,
We'd not win this battle.
He twitched with relief as Bluestar retracted her claws and let the fur on her shoulders relax. The ThunderClan leader turned back to Mudclaw and meowed.
Very well, we'll go home. But we will return. You cannot cut us off from StarClan forever.
Mudclaw flattened his back and replied,
You've made a wise decision.
Fireheart growled at Mudclaw.
Did you hear what Bluestar said?
Mudclaw narrowed his eyes threateningly, but Fireheart went on.
We will leave this time, but you will never again stop us from traveling to the Moonstone.
Mudclaw turned away.
We'll escort you back to Four Trees.
Well, that was a failed mission. They just wasted their time. Fireheart is afraid of how Bluestar will react to WindClan escorting them, but she actually complies and turns back. As they reach Four Trees, Fireheart vows to himself to never let WindClan block them again. He notices Bluestar is starting to look very tired and is moving slower. The WindClan cats watch them climb down the hill to reach Four Trees, up from the hill, and then they vanish. Bluestar is agonized and believes StarClan does not wish to speak to her. Fireheart reassures her that it was WindClan who stopped them, not StarClan. But he remembers the words of Small Lear from just a day or two ago, quote,
Fireheart's naming broke with clan ritual for the first time since before I was born.
He starts to wonder if StarClan really is angry at ThunderClan. Quote, From the surprised murmurs that greeted their news when Fireheart and Bluestar padded back into camp, Fireheart guessed that the clan shared his fears. Never before had a leader been turned back on a journey to the Moonstone. Bluestar padded unsteadily to her den, her eyes fixed on the dusty ground as she crossed the clearing. Fireheart watched her with a heavy heart. Suddenly the sun felt too hot to bear beneath his thick coat. He headed for the shade at the edge of the clearing, and noticed Dustpelt padding toward him from the gorse tunnel, Ashpaw at his heels.
You're back early,
meowed the tabby warrior. He circled Fireheart as Ashpaw stood wide-eyed and looked up at the 2 warriors.
WindClan wouldn't let us pass,
Fireheart explained.
Didn't you tell them you were going to Highstones?
Asked Dustpelt, sitting down beside his apprentice.
Of course,
snapped Fireheart. He saw Dustpelt's eyes flick toward the gorse tunnel and turned to see Darkstripe and Fernpaw enter the camp. Fernpaw looked exhausted as she ran to keep up with her mentor, her fur clumped and dusty.
What are you doing back?
Darkstripe asked, narrowing his eyes at Fireheart.
WindClan wouldn't let them pass,
Dustpelt announced. Fernpaw looked up at Dustpelt, her pretty green eyes round with surprise.
What? How dare they?
Darkstripe meowed, his tail bristling angrily.
I don't know why Fireheart lets him boss him around,
commented Dustpelt.
I didn't have much choice.
Fireheart growled.
Would you have risked your leader's safety?
Running Wind's meow sounded across the clearing.
Fireheart!
The lean warrior was trotting toward him, looking agitated. Darkstripe and Dustpelt glanced at each other and led their apprentices away. Running Wind reached Fireheart and asked,
Have you seen Cloudpaw anywhere?
I sighed out loud when I read this. Running Wind, I know you don't like Cloudpaw, but you are supposed to keep an eye on him.
No?
Fireheart felt his heart lurch.
I thought he was going out with you this afternoon.
I told him to wait till I'd washed.
Running Wind seemed more angry than worried.
But when I'd finished, Brightpaw told me he'd gone hunting by himself.
I'm sorry.
Fireheart apologized, sighing inwardly. The last thing he needed right now was Cloudpaw's disobedience.
I'll speak to him when he gets back.
Running Wind's eyes glittered with annoyance, and he looked unconvinced by Fireheart's promise. Fireheart was about to apologize again when he saw Running Wind's expression turn to disbelief as Cloudpaw scampered into the camp, a squirrel grasped in his jaws. The apprentice's eyes shone with pride at the catch, which was almost as big as he was. Running Wind snorted with exasperation.
All sorted out.
Fireheart meowed quickly. He sensed Running Wind had plenty more to say about Cloudpaw, but the warrior just nodded and patted away. Fireheart watched the white cat carry a squirrel to the fresco pile. Cloudpaw dropped it and wandered toward the apprentice's den without taking any food for himself, even though there was plenty of prey. With a sinking feeling, Fireheart guessed that Cloudpaw had already eaten while out hunting.
How many times could Cloudpaw break the warrior code in a single day?
He wondered irritably.
Cloudpaw,
Called Fireheart. Cloudpaw looked up.
What?
He mewed.
I want to talk to you.
As Cloudpaw padded slowly toward him, Fireheart was uncomfortably aware of Running Wind watching from outside the warrior's den.
Did you eat while out hunting?
He demanded as soon as Cloudpaw neared. Cloudpaw shrugged.
So what if I did? I was hungry.
What does the warrior code tell us about eating before the clan is fed?
Cloudpaw looked at the treetops.
If it's anything like the rest of the code, it'll tell me I can't.
He muttered. I'm both irritated and impressed. He's the first cat to genuinely question the validity of how things are done, according to StarClan and the Warrior Code. He's smart. He's smarter than Fire probably gives him credit for. Fireheart pushed away his rising exasperation.
Did you fetch that pigeon?
I couldn't. It was gone.
With a shock, Fireheart realized he didn't know if he believed Cloudpaw or not. He decided there was no point pursuing it.
Why didn't you go hunting with Running Wind?
He asked instead.
He was taking too long to get ready. Anyway, I prefer hunting alone.
You're still just an apprentice.
Fireheart reminded him sternly.
You'll learn better if you hunt with a warrior.
Cloudpaw sighed and nodded.
Yes, Fireheart.
Fireheart had no idea if Cloudpaw had really listened or not.
You'll never be given your warrior name if you carry on like this. How do you think you'll feel watching Ashpaw's and Fernpaw's naming ceremonies when you're still an apprentice?
That'll never happen.
Cloudpaw argued.
Well, one thing's for certain.
Fireheart told him.
You'll be staying at camp while they go to the next gathering.
Finally, Fireheart seemed to have Cloudpaw's attention. The white-haired apprentice stared up at him in disbelief.
But...
He began.
When I report this to Bluestar, I think she'll agree with me.
Fireheart interrupted him fiercely.
Now go away.
Tail down, Cloudpaw padded off toward the other apprentices, who were watching from outside their den. Fireheart didn't even bother looking to see if Running Wind had witnessed the scene. Right now, he didn't care what the clan thought of his apprentice. The opinions of the other cats seemed to pale into insignificance next to his growing fear that Cloudpaw would never become a true warrior. That's the end of Chapter 6. I mean, yeah, it's not looking great for Cloudpaw. But Fireheart, need I remind you that you also weren't the best at following rules when you were an apprentice? Do we need to look in a mirror for a second? Anyway, moving on to Chapter 7, the last chapter of this episode. Quote,
Bluestar, it's been a quarter moon since we returned from the uplands.
Fireheart carefully avoided mentioning the moonstone. Even though they were alone in her den, he still felt uncomfortable mentioning their fruitless expedition.
There's been no sign of WindClan in her territory, or ShadowClan.
Bluestar narrowed her eyes disbelievingly, but Fireheart pressed on.
There are so many apprentices in training, and the woods are so full of prey that it is hard to keep 3 warriors in camp all the time. I think 2 would be plenty.
But what if we're attacked again?
Bluestar fretted.
If WindClan really intended to harm ThunderClan,
Fireheart pointed out.
Mudclaw wouldn't have let you leave the uplands alive.
He finished silently, letting his words trail away.
Okay.
Bluestar nodded, her eyes clouded with an unreadable emotion.
Only 2 warriors need stay in camp.
Thanks, Bluestar.
This was going to make the task of organizing all the guards, hunting parties, and apprentice training much easier.
I'll go and sort out tomorrow's patrols.
Fireheart dipped his head respectfully and left the den. Outside, the warriors were waiting for him.
White Storm, you lead the Dawn Patrol.
Fireheart ordered.
Take Sandstorm and Ashpaw with you. Brackenfur, Dustpelt, you'll guard the camp while I'm hunting with Cloudpaw.
He looked around at the remaining warriors, realizing how much more confident he felt about arranging the patrols. He'd had a lot of practice since Bluestar stayed in her den so much nowadays. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Pushing away the unsettling thought, Fireheart went on.
I'll leave it up to the rest of you whether you train your apprentices or take them hunting, but I want the fresco pile as full as it is today. We're getting used to eating well.
An amused purr ran through the group of warriors.
Darkstripe, you lead tomorrow's Sun High Patrol. Running Wind, you take Sunset. You can choose who you take with you. Just be sure to let them know so they can be ready in time.
Running Wind nodded, but Darkstripe's eyes glittered and he asked,
Who will be going to the gathering tonight?
I don't know.
Fireheart admitted. Darkstripe narrowed his eyes.
Didn't Bluestar tell you, or hasn't she decided yet?
She hasn't discussed it with me.
Fireheart answered.
She'll tell us when she's ready.
Darkstripe turned his head and stared into the shadowy trees.
She'd better tell us soon. The sun is starting to set.
Then you should be eating.
Fireheart told him.
You'll need your strength for the gathering, if you're going.
Darkstripe's tone made him uneasy, but he refused to let it ruffle his fur. He sat down and waited for the warriors to move away. Only when they had all gone did he turn back to Bluestar's den. She hadn't mentioned the gathering, and he'd been too busy worrying about tomorrow's patrols to remember it.
Ah, Fireheart.
Bluestar met him as she was pushing her way out through the lichen. She looked as if she'd just finished washing, and her pelt glowed in the dusky light. Fireheart felt a jolt of relief that she seemed to be taking care of herself once more.
When you've eaten, call the warriors together for the gathering.
Who shall I call?
Fireheart asked. Bluestar looked surprised. She listed the names so easily, leaving out Cloudpaw and including Ashpaw as he'd requested several days earlier. Fireheart wondered if perhaps she'd already told him and he'd forgotten.
Yes, Bluestar,
he answered. He dipped his head and padded across the clearing to the fresh kill pile. A fat pigeon had been left on the heap. He decided to leave it for Bluestar. Perhaps this might tempt her to eat more than 2 mouthfuls. He picked up a vole, not feeling very hungry himself. He was too unsettled by Bluestar's shifting, patternless moves. Classic BPD behavior, if you ask me. Or bipolar. Where's the DSM-5 when you need it? The warriors have doctors. Do they have their own version of the DSM-5? Fireheart carries the vole back to his eating place, shivering as he notices Bramblekit staring at him. He recalls Cinderpelt's words, quote,
He will never know his father. It will be the clan that raises him.
He forces himself to nod at Bramblekit, but he's still very unsettled by Bramblekit's appearance. Which is like, it's valid, but also, come on man, that's literally a toddler. So Fireheart observes the clan sharing tongues after their meal. It's been so hot he wishes he could swim like a RiverClan cat to cool off. He sees Cloudpaw play fighting with Ashpaw, happy that he's getting along with his denmates. Fireheart hopes he can see Graystripe at the gathering tonight. Eventually, once the sun sets fully and everyone's done, Fireheart calls the cats going to the gathering, noticing that Darkstripe, Longtail, and Dustpelt had been left out. He wonders if Bluestar did that on purpose because of their previous closeness with Tigerclaw. The 3 of them are noticeably displeased about this. Finally, Bluestar gets up and announces Whitestorm will be in charge of camp. Mousefur asks if she's going to address WindClan about stopping her journey to Highstones. Bluestar decides to not risk more aggression, believing WindClan knows what they did was wrong. The clan follows her through the gorse tunnel. Quote, Dirt and pebbles showered down as the cats scrambled up the side of the ravine. The lack of rain had left the forest as dry as crushed bones, and the sun-scorched ground seemed to turn to dust beneath their paws. Once in the woods, Bluestar ran on ahead. Fireheart dropped to the rear of the group as the cats raced silently through the trees, ducking beneath brittle ferns and swerving past brambles. Sandstorm measured her pace until she matched Fireheart stride for stride, clearing a fallen branch in a single fluid leap. As they landed, she turned to Fireheart and murmured,
Bluestar seems to be feeling well again.
Yes.
Fireheart agreed guardedly, concentrating on threading his body between some prickly bramble stalks. He's not engaging in conversation with her. I don't think he likes her very much. Sandstorm went on, keeping her voice low so it didn't carry to the other cats.
But she seems distant. She doesn't seem to be as...
She hesitated, and Fireheart didn't try to fill the silence that followed. His worst fears were being confirmed. The other ThunderClan cats were beginning to notice Bluestar was not herself.
She's changed?
Sandstorm finished. Fireheart didn't look at the ginger she-cat. Instead, he veered away to avoid a thick clump of nettles while Sandstorm leaped over them, springing up and through the stinging leaves to land on the forest floor beyond. Fireheart ran faster to catch up.
Bluestar's still shaken,
he said, panting.
Tigerclaw's treachery was a huge shock.
I don't understand why she never suspected him.
Did you ever suspect Tigerclaw?
Countered Fireheart.
No.
Sandstorm admitted.
No cat did. But the rest of the clan has recovered from the shock. Bluestar still seems...
Again, she seemed lost for words.
She's leading us to the gathering,
Fireheart pointed out.
Yes, that's true,
answered Sandstorm, brightening.
She's still the same Bluestar.
Fireheart assured her.
You'll see.
Buddy is lying through his teeth right now. So Bluestar seems nervous as she leads the clan into 4 trees. Fireheart immediately looks for Graystripe, but it becomes clear that he's not here. Fireheart is not surprised, but he is pretty bummed out. He overhears a ShadowClan apprentice ask Brightpaw if ThunderClan has seen any more rogues. He slides her a warning glance to not discuss it, but there's no need because she smoothly replies that they haven't seen them. He knows that if Tigerclaw is involved, though, they'll likely return at some point. He notices Mudclaw sitting next to One Whisker, eyeing him coldly. Mudclaw whispers something into One Whisker's ear, but One Whisker just blinks sympathetically at Fireheart and walks away, leaving Mudclaw looking annoyed. Fireheart is glad at least One Whisker remembers how ThunderClan saved them, and how WindClan supposedly owes a debt. That happened a while ago. Have they already paid it off? Am I misremembering? So, he walks up to Leopardfur, hoping to ask how Graystripe is doing, when the ShadowClan warrior next to her starts coughing and spluttering. Leopardfur wipes her face in disgust as the warrior leaves. Quote,
Is he alright?
Fireheart asked.
Does he look alright?
Retorted Leopardfur, her lip curling with distaste.
Cats shouldn't come to the gathering riddled with disease.
Shouldn't we do something?
Like what?
He had Leopardfur.
ShadowClan has a medicine cap.
She lowered her paw, her wet whiskers gleaming in the moonlight. Her eyes glittered with curiosity.
I hear you are ThunderClan's new deputy.
Fireheart nodded, realizing that Graystripe must have shared this news with his new clan. Leopardfur went on.
What happened to Tigerclaw? None of the other clans seem to know. Is he dead?
Fireheart flicked his tail uncomfortably. He could imagine Leopard Fur wasting no time in telling the other clans that ThunderClan had replaced their distinguished deputy with a kitty pet.
What happened to Tiger Claw is of no concern to RiverClan.
He meowed, trying to match her cool tone. He wondered if Bluestar would say anything about her former deputy when she announced the news about Fireheart later on. Leopard Fur narrowed her eyes but didn't press the subject any further.
So,
she meowed.
Have you come to brag about your new title or to find out about your old friend?
Fireheart lifted his chin, surprised that she was giving him a clear opportunity to ask about Graystripe.
How is he?
He meowed.
He'll do.
Leopard Fur shrugged.
He'll never be a true RiverClan warrior, but at least he's getting used to the water, which is more than I expected.
Fireheart had to hold in his claws at her dismissive tone.
His kits are strong and clever.
Leopard Fur went on.
They must favor their mother.
Was this cat trying to annoy him on purpose? Fireheart was struggling to hold back a sharp reply when Mousefur trotted up behind him.
Hello, Leopard Fur.
She greeted the RiverClan deputy.
Stonefur tells me there are new kits in your camp, besides Gray Stripes.
Yes, there are.
Leopard Fur meowed.
StarClan has blessed our nursery this Grainleaf.
He also said Mistyfoot's kits are about to begin their training.
Yeah, Mousefur.
You know, the ones Fireheart saved from the floods,
she added, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Fireheart noticed Leopard Fur stiffen, but his mind was on Mistyfoot and her brother Stonefur. He glanced around the clearing and saw Bluestar sitting alone beneath the great rock. Did she know her son was here? Had she heard that Mistyfoot's kits were ready for their apprenticeship? When he turned his gaze back to Leopard Fur and Mousefur, the RiverClan deputy was stalking away. Leopard Fur tried to rage bait, but Mousefur rage baited her right back. She's kind of the goat for this. I love when characters like Mousefur get more screen time. Or page time, I should say, because it's a book. Mousefur shot a look of sympathy at Fireheart.
Don't worry, you'll find her less intimidating when you get used to her. The rest of RiverClan seems happy to see us. They would not have survived the floods so well without the help of ThunderClan, and we did let them have Silverstream's kits without a fight.
Graystripe was never Leopard Fur's favorite ThunderClan cat, though.
Fireheart reminded her.
Not since White Claw fell into the gorge.
She should learn to forgive and forget. Graystripe has given RiverClan 2 fine, healthy kits.
Mousefur flicked her tail.
Did she ask you about Tiger Claw?
Yes.
Everyone's desperate to know what happened to him.
And why Kitty Pet has replaced him.
Fireheart added bitterly.
That too.
Mousefur glanced briefly at him.
Don't take it personally, Fireheart. We'd be just as curious about a change of deputy in another clan.
Her attention wandered around the clearing for a moment before she observed.
Have you noticed how small ShadowClan's patrol is tonight?
Fireheart nodded.
I've only seen a couple of ShadowClan warriors so far. One of them just had a nasty coughing fit.
Really?
Meowed Mousefur curiously.
It is furball season,
Fireheart pointed out. Aren't furballs year-round? Well, I guess if it's summer, then the cats are grooming themselves more, so they get more hair in their mouth and in their throat or stomach to cough up. So I guess it would be? I didn't know there was like a season for that, though.
I suppose so.
A voice sounded from the Great Rock. Fireheart looked up and saw the RiverClan leader, Crooked Star, standing on top of the massive boulder, his thick pelt gleaming in the moonlight. Bluestar sat on one side, and Tall Star, the WindClan leader, on the other. And on the far side, half hidden by the shadow of an oak tree, sat Nightstar. Fireheart was shocked by the ShadowClan leader's appearance. The Black Tom looked even scrawnier than a WindClan cat, who were kept lean by the rabbits they chased on the moor. But Nightstar didn't just look thin. He held his head low, and his shoulders were hunched. For a moment, Fireheart wondered if he was sick, but then he remembered that Nightstar had already been an elder when he'd taken on the leadership of ShadowClan. Perhaps it wasn't surprising if he looked frail. He may have been granted the 9 lives of a leader, but not even StarClan could turn back time. I don't know. It seems like ShadowClan might be sick, considering that other warrior who, open-mouth coughed all over Leopard Fur.
Come on,
Mousefur murmured. Fireheart followed the dusky brown she-cat to the front of the cats and sat down beside her, with Mistyfoot at his other flank. Crooked Star meowed from the Great Rock.
Bluestar wishes to speak first.
He bowed his head to the ThunderClan leader as she stepped forward and raised her voice, sounding as strong as it always had.
You may already have heard from WindClan, but for those of you who have not, Broken Tail is dead.
A satisfied murmur rippled through the crowd. Fireheart noticed Nightstar's ears and tail flicking restlessly. The ShadowClan leader seemed almost excited to know that his old enemy was dead.
How did he die?
Nightstar rasped. Bluestar didn't seem to hear him.
And ThunderClan has a new deputy,
she went on.
So it's true what RiverClan has been saying.
The stunned mew of a WindClan warrior rose from the watching cats.
Something's happened to Tiger Claw.
Is he dead?
Mudclaw demanded to know. His words brought a barrage of concerned cries, and Fireheart couldn't help feeling a twinge of resentment when he realized how much Tiger Claw had been respected by the other clans. He watched Bluestar anxiously as the cats bombarded her with questions.
Did he die of sickness?
Was it an accident?
Fireheart felt his clanmates stiffen around him. They all shared Brightpaw's unwillingness to reveal the truth about their former deputy's disloyalty. Bluestar's authoritative yowl silenced the questions.
Tiger Claw's fate is ThunderClan's business and does not concern anyone else.
The cats fell into a disgruntled murmuring, their curiosity clearly not satisfied. Fireheart couldn't help wondering if Bluestar should warn the other clans that Tiger Claw was still alive, that there was a dangerous traitor roaming the forest, unfettered by the warrior code. But when Bluestar meowed again, she made no mention of Tiger Claw. Instead, she announced,
"Our new deputy is Fireheart."
Dozens of heads turned to look at Fireheart, and he felt hot under their questioning stares. The silence seemed to pound in his ears. He kneaded the ground and soundlessly urged the leaders to carry on with the gathering, aware only of the sound of breathing and the rows upon rows of unblinking eyes. Main character moment. No, what do you mean I'm the main character? No, all eyes are on me. What the heck, guys? That's the end of chapter 7, and that's where we're gonna end for today. So nothing crazy happened, just yet. Fireheart just seems to be getting used to being deputy and kinda leading the clan since Bluestar isn't really doing much. Yeah, I don't really have much commentary on this one. Thank you for joining me. Social media links for Cattails are below in the description, so you can follow to be updated on when new episodes come out. It's every Friday at 3 p.m., but if you want the extra little reminder, that'd be cool. If you want to share this podcast with your friends, please feel free to do so. Let me know of any feedback on the voice changers and the sound effects and stuff. I'm really enjoying editing it a little bit more, and it really feels more immersive. So I'm excited about the direction this podcast is going in. We're still growing with listeners, I should say. Listeners and followers. So tune in next week to see if Cloudpaw behaves and how things go, I guess, with Fireheart and being deputy. Thank you so much, and may StarClan light your path.